name is Mary Wanjado. I'm the founder and CEO of Cityscape Trade Services Limited. I'm a voice for the voiceless, a catalyst for change, and a multiple award winner. I run Cityscape Trends, and my role is championing, advocating for decent work, decent pay, and human rights for economic growth for those at the bottom of the pyramid dwelling in informal settlements in urban and peri-urban areas. At Cityscape Trends is a social impact organization where we provide sustainable commercial cleaning services for offices and buildings. And we do this through leveraging our core business to address social and environmental impacts. So what do I mean by this is that we don't hire to clean, but we clean to hire. So we call it clean space and a better world. So I was born in Machakos County. My mom hails from Gattutu South and my dad hails from Machakos. And that's how I came to be born in Machakos Hospital. And I went to some of the schools in Machakos. That was a long time ago. After that, I think we kept moving. I remember going to General Cargo. I remember also in Nyeri. I schooled in Nyeri, my primary school, a school called Nyamashaki Primary School. A fantastic place to be. And how was my relationship with my parents? My relationship with my parents was just amazing. So my mom worked in the hospital as a hospital social worker, and my dad was also working in the hospital as a clinical officer. And I was brought up in a family that we were together, and a lot of family values, discipline, character, virtues of kindness, because you can just imagine my mom being a social worker. It just shows that as I walked with her during her journey of social work, I would see some of the things she used to do, like helping the poor, people who are very marginalized, people who are very like people who cannot walk, disabled people with disability. And this touched my heart. Maybe by then it never clicked to me what all this was about. But today when I try to flash back, I say, oh my goodness, this was huge. And I could say part of that has contributed to what I am doing today, because what I do most today is helping or uplifting people's lives, giving back to the society. And what that does for someone is that it gives your life, it gives your life meaningful. It gives you a lot of satisfaction. It's so fulfilling. That's something that I've come to realize. And when I try to flash back what my mom used to do, today I can say indeed, humble beginnings and can actually shape your life. So none of my parents were entrepreneurs, but later my dad became an entrepreneur. I think it just runs in the family about entrepreneurship. But what I know mostly is that my dad was a very driven person, very neat person, a person who was very focused, outgoing and outstanding. And I would say I've learned from him. I've taken some of his traits, and my mom too. His social work bit, the welfare, having that heart. A kind heart, a heart that cares, it's what matters to me most. Of course, I run a cleaning company as the founder and CEO of Cityscape Trade Services. We clean, but we clean with a difference. So we run Cityscape Trade Services with values. These values are United Nations guiding principles on anti-corruption, that we do not condone corruption, human rights, that we are going to treat people with respect for their dignity without infringing on their human rights. That means that every time we are doing business, whether it's the cleaning detergents, whether it's dealing with other people outside our business, that we are going to treat them with a lot of respect. We are going to, without infringing on their human rights. And the other thing is about labor laws. Labor laws, that means that we are going to pay people according to the labor standards. We are going to pay people we are not going to take advantage of people, like pay them less and then make more profit. We say, what I talk about is that doing the right thing and then letting the money follow you, or letting your business now grow to the other level. And the last one is about environment. The last value and principle is about environment, is that we are going, as much as we are going to do our business using the cleaning products, we'll make sure that we will tread lightly without infringing on them, or without depleting the natural resources, without damaging the environment, So we have to tread lightly on planet Earth, or the mother nature, so that we can conserve our natural resources. So we have 3 kinds of services. The first kind of service is called contractual cleaning services. The contractual cleaning services, this is where we deploy sanitation consultants, and if you like it, janitors, as we call them. We make sure that they come to your place every day, every single day. They come to your premise. They clean, they turn your office ups and down. They have different kind of roles. They have daily roles, daily cleaning. They also have weekly cleaning, monthly cleaning, or periodically cleaning, or even annual cleaning. So the contractual cleaning is mostly about daily cleaning, and sometimes they do periodic cleaning, and sometimes they can decide to do a general cleaning as they do. And our second kind of cleaning service is called spring cleaning. When we talk about spring cleaning, we are talking about this time is not a contract. We can come to your place, we can come to your office, clean the place, turn it ups and down, and then we leave. But we leave your place looking sparkling clean. That, of course, gives you a peace of mind. It also enables you, it gives you a lot of relaxation and helps you to concentrate on your core business. And finally, we have customer preferred service. Customer preferred service means that we can arrange with our customer. We can do it either 2 times in a week. We can say Monday, Wednesday, or we can say Saturday and Sunday. So that's why we call it customer preferred service. And those are the 3 kind of services. Alongside that, what we do at Cityscape Trend Services is that we want our customers to have a peace of mind, and so that they can be able to concentrate on their core business. What do I mean by that? Is that we have other kind of services like pest control and fumigation. We have sanitary bins, supply of sanitary bins and disposal. We also have landscaping and gardening. So these services, we do not do them. What we do is that we look for other partners who are doing them, and then we collaborate with them, and then we can be able to provide those services to you without you having 20 or more suppliers in your supply chain. So we help you reduce your supply chain. So I started my business in 2010, but when I started my business, I grew cold feet. I really grew cold feet because I did not know how do I even run a limited company. By then I had already started a salon and barbershop in town. I had been employed for several years in a few of, actually some of the major salons in town. You can talk of Urembo, you can talk of Queens, you can talk of Hair Affair. I worked in this business. I think for me it was a stepping stone. It was a stepping stone to the next level. And when I did that, after some times, I decided to open my salon, which was a sole proprietor trade. And when I registered it, I started doing the business, but I kept on struggling. I was struggling every now and then. And I'll tell you why. Because I lacked business skills, I lacked business knowledge. And when I realized that I do not have this, I started looking out, where do I go and learn these things? So one day I am just perusing the newspaper and I see an advertisement by Goldman Sachs Foundation. When I saw Goldman Sachs Foundation, they are looking for women who have a business in a physical location. They are also looking for someone who lacks skills and knowledge. And I thought I really do fit in that category, and I applied. Actually, I didn't even know how to apply. So I called a friend of mine and I asked for help, and I said, can you check this? Can we fill it? And then we applied. And I applied it. When I applied this, I was invited by Bosman Sachs Foundation, which had partnered with United States University, USIU in Nairobi. And this was amazing. I think that was my turning point, because when I went to the USIU, one of the things that I experienced there, because I went there to do my executive business studies for business entrepreneurs, it was really amazing. It was so amazing, because one of the things that actually struck me was the number of women who had come. There were about 30 women, and these women were running big and massive businesses. For example, some were running schools, institutions, others had bakeries, others were manufacturing, they had manufacturing plants. And when we met in that environment, to be honest, it was one of the things that I would say actually made a turning point for me. I found that these women were also struggling like me, running a business and lacking the skills and knowledge. Just because you are employed and you decide to leave and start your own business does not mean that you are a great entrepreneur. You still have milestones. You have a lot of things to do. You need a lot of self-development. You need to be in the right environment so that you can continue sharpening your skills. You can continue thriving in doing business and getting to know. I remember when I started the salon, the journey was between my salon and home. The salon place and home. What I did not know is about networking. How do you network? How do you network with people so that you can hear what people are doing out there, so that you can also start understanding the bolts and the nuts of doing business. And when I went to USIU and I met these women, they are speaking about the challenges they go through their business. Yet they have massive businesses, but they're still going through challenges. For me, I would say it's resilience. You need resilience. And having resilience is a way of telling you, even when it's difficult, when you fall down, you can still go. But you also need to be in the right environment. How do you then create that resilience? How then do you recover? How do you have that zeal and energy just to keep going? So being in that environment really helped me to start thinking out of the box. It gave me a lot of ideas. It encouraged me, a lot of inspiration. And I was able to come back to my business now, the salon, and improve on it, get to know how to take it to the next level. That was just totally amazing. That was amazing. So after that, after going through the USIU entrepreneurship program, I was now confident that I could start another business, the cleaning business. And that's how Cityscape was born, through knowing that you can actually run two businesses concurrently. I thought the salon business was a cash cow, and then the cleaning business was where you have to provide services, and then after 30 days or maybe 60 days, you are paid. And I thought having a business where you have a cash cow and having a business where you'll have to eat for some days would actually help you balance. And beside that, I had a lot of passion also for housekeeping. I went to school and I did housekeeping. I went to some colleges in Limuru. I remember, I think it was called Limuru School of Catering and Housekeeping. I did a lot of housekeeping there, and that was part and basis of how I had a passion of starting the cleaning company. And besides that, I think God also has a way of taking our past. And when you try to connect the dots and you see that indeed the cleaning started a long time ago. When I was growing up, I remember my grandfather. My grandfather was such an amazing man, because he would make us clean the compound and make the compound absolutely so clean. So we'd wake up very early in the morning and clean the compound. I think when I try to connect the dots, like I see, God sometimes takes our past and brings it to our present. preparing us for bigger things. So during this time, when my grandfather would wake us up very early to make sure that the leaves that had fallen on the compound, the cow dung, everything had been cleaned and the compound was sparkling clean. This was just one way or another way of bringing me to the cleaning industry when I tried to connect the dots. Then the other thing was about when I was in school. I used to get a lot of punishment. Speaking English and Swahili was very difficult for me. Remember, I grew in the village. It was really difficult. Speaking English, even today, I think I give myself a pat on the back when I can know that I can speak English or I can speak Swahili. I feel very proud of myself because I know I've come far. I got a lot of mottos in school and I found myself a lot in big trouble. And whenever you have a motto, by the end of that week on Friday, and you still have the motto, you will be punished. So the punishment was about cleaning the washrooms. So every time I would find myself cleaning the washroom on Friday. Clean the washroom with Kero. Kero was a cleaning detergent that was used for pit latrines. By then my school had pit latrines. And you can just imagine it was terrible. No gloves, no PPE, no protective gears. So it was terrible. But I tell you, when I tried to connect the dot, I can just see God was aligning me. Because today I clean washrooms. I do clean a lot of washrooms. It's one of the things that I do. So I think God has, just like Joseph in the scripture, he was taken through a path whereby, you remember when he was thrown by his brothers in the pit, in a pit, then he was sold to the slaves, then he was put in jail, then one day he became a king. Sometimes I keep saying that if God showed us, if God showed us the path or the roots of those dots, connecting those dots, if God showed us that this is the way, sometimes we just tell God, no, we don't want. But there is a price for everything that we do. And washing those washrooms was just a way that connected me into my housekeeping job that today I am doing. Another thing I still remember even today, when I was in school, sometimes I struggled a lot because of lack of school fees. And I could be sent home because I did not have school fees. I would be sent home, and during my school holidays, I would actually tell my parents that I'm going to the library, which I did. I would go to the library, pick a book, and then in Nyeri town where we used to live, there were a lot of Asian communities, and they had shops where they were selling clothes. So I would walk in the shops and ask the Asian community, can you give me a job, please? I would like to clean, so that I can add to what my mom used to give me, because going to school was really difficult. I would remember I would only be given the most essential things: toothpaste, shoe polish, toothpaste, and hair oil, and maybe pads. And then 30 shillings for transport to go get to school. After that, I have nothing. So when I get to school, I think peer pressure also. Other students in their box, they have juice, they have tomato sauce, they have goodies, and here I have nothing. So this really motivated me. For me, I think this was an inspiration to tell me there's just something, how do a poor child know that he's poor until you meet a rich kid? So during my school holiday, I would go looking for work. But the Indian community did not give me, they rejected me. I think it's because of my age. They would say this is child labor, and they never gave me a job. But I had a friend of mine called Maggie, and I told Maggie, can you allow me to clean? One day I visited Maggie, and when I got into her house, the first thing I noted was her carpet. She had 2 little children. One is at the back, the other one is crying. And when I looked at her carpet, I would see a lot of food, ugali, a lot of mashed potatoes in the carpet. She hardly had time to be able to balance. And I could see heap of clothes, utensils, and I thought, wow, this is an opportunity. and I asked Maggie if I can do. Actually, I didn't even ask. That day I took the brush and I started cleaning the carpet. Then I washed her clothes, I washed her dishes. At the end of it, I said, okay, can I do this job for you? And then you can boost me with some money so that when I'm going back to school, I have something. And I'm telling you, that is how I started cleaning carpets. By then, I didn't know there's a hooving machine for carpet or a scrubbing machine. I did it with my brush and it was sparkling clean. So when I try to look back and see, how did I even start the cleaning business? God was aligning my purpose with just me going to look for cleaning business, and Maggie was able to give me a job to clean the carpet, to clean the clothes. It's just amazing. The toilet that I was washing through punishment was, and the housekeeping that I went to do in school is just amazing. It's just amazing. So that's how I started the cleaning company. But I want to tell somebody out there that try and connect your dots, that everything that happens in your life, it's a stepping stone to greatness. Everything that you do in life, if you try to sit down and reflect, or you can always start finding your gift in where you are, because God put us in a place for purpose. As I had mentioned, I had started with the salon industry, where I had a cash cow, and it was really very easy for me now to start the cleaning business. So I got little money from personal investment, and then I got more money from a circle. This particular circle, it's United Women Circle, where I started putting a little money, because you understand how circles work. That you have to boost in some money into your account, and then you can take a loan against what you have deposited, and you can get 3 to 4 times amount what you have deposited. But I tried to get money from commercial banks. For commercial bank is actually it's hard. It's very tough and hard for you to actually acquire, or access to capital, for access to financing for women with commercial bank is hard, because first of all, they will not trust that you'll be able to pay their money back. And the beauty about SACCO is that they are giving you against what you have deposited. So in case you default, they can actually recoup their money. However, I keep thinking that women have there has been a research that banks and financial institutions have done, and they have actually realized that funding women, business women money, you can never go wrong, because they will do everything to ensure that they have paid the money. So, and I believe that, because personally, every time I take a loan, I know I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to pay back the money. So it's a mandate that for people to trust you, even banks to trust you, to give you money back again, because you can always go there many times. So for you to have that trust issue is to ensure that you pay the money back. And I would say that the circles, even today, the circles have really supported me. I find myself going back. I've taken loan, I can go back again and take another one and take another one, and be able to expand your business, be able to have a kickstart, a head start. And it's been wonderful. I think SACCO is good, but if we can continue having more financial institutions coming with ways that women can be given finances without collateral, because in most cases, either SACCO, you have put money to be funded against what you are borrowing, or you have a collateral. In most cases, most of us women, as we start growing or we start expanding our business, we actually do not have collaterals. And I say, as we continue being empowered, those are things that can happen in future. I think it started growing during 2015, when the President Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto, Honorable Ruto, took over, and they had a procurement policy that was put in place, whereby they were giving preferences to youth, women, and persons with disability. And it was a mandate that any government institution, if they give women, they need to know which women, the president need to know the women that have been given businesses, and they also need to hear success stories. I remember at this particular time, there was a lot of sensitization from the government agencies and government procurement agency entities, where they could train us on how to apply tenders. They would train us how to, there was also about EVMIS, we were shown how to apply on those portals. And I was able to attend every meeting. I was able to understand how the process works. I remember one time I saw a tender advertised on the newspaper, and it was the Kenya Airports Authority, and I was wondering, how do I do it? And eventually I bought those tenders and I participated in all of them. But now I was lacking one document, which is AGPO, Access to Government Opportunities. And without that one document, it was difficult. It was actually extremely difficult for me to get business. So I knew I can get it from the treasury, because I had already gone to do site visits in different places that the Kenya Airport facilities offer. But that one document, you cannot get a tender without it. So I went to treasury, and I remember by then you have to go, they told me, fill a form, then bring your company profile, you need to bring bank statements. I did all that, and when I brought, they told me you have to wait for 1 week. And I was like, what? 1 week? I can't wait, because my tender document has to be submitted before then. And I asked them if I can speak to their boss. And when I went to speak to their boss, the boss agreed, and I was given the document. I was told just to wait. I was given, because initially I think you have to wait for 1 week for it. But now, because I had already participated in many tenders, the boss had a heart to care, and he was able to give me the documents, the AGPO document, within a few minutes. Then I went and participated, and that time, after the results came, I realized that I have got 2 tenders from the Kenya Airport. That was Lamu and Ukunda, and my business grew. After that, my business grew beyond leaps and bounds. I was able to get a lot of business from Kenya Power, CMC, and many other banks. I was able to get a lot of business. This was amazing. So the number of employees expanded from 10. I had about 10 to almost 500 employees, workers, and that was in Mombasa, Kisumu, Kisii. It wasn't just Nairobi. And then I could also see my financials. My financials also started growing. So I think that is how I noticed. It was because of the government policies that were given, that you don't need to know anybody in the government for you to be given a tender. And I think that is a very fair way of working, and that should be a way that the government should ensure that we do have, that people can be able to access tenders, or women can be able to attend to have business opportunities that are fair and equal. Without any discrimination. I did not have even an office, and I had this one briefcase that I was carrying. And this briefcase used to contain my seal, my stamp, everything, that if a thief, or maybe if I went to a restaurant to eat and I forgot it, just imagine, my office would go. So I didn't have an office initially when I started, and then later I had my brother-in-law who lent me his office, and I started looking for more tenders, and I was able now to be able to pay for the office. So I think I thank God, because I keep believing that start where you are and start with what you have, because when you say, I will start until the day I get an office, I'll start until when I get ABCD, you might never ever start. So start where you are with what you have, and that means it could be skills, it could be knowledge, not necessarily money, but skills, knowledge. You can start from where you have the resources that God has given you, talents, gifts. Start from where you are. Another challenge that I had is doubt. I was doubting myself. Will I be able to run a limited company? Will I be able to run this business? I had a lot of doubts. So doubt was also another thing. Another thing that another challenge that I had is that sometimes for the business to pick up, it was really a struggle. It was so hard, it was so tough. You know, you're starting a business from square one, and you do not know whether you will continue. So I was struggling. I was thinking, will I make it? Will I not make it? Then I could start thinking, I want to go back to employment. Then I'll say, if I call my boss today and ask her, I want to come back to employment, I knew my boss would actually say yes, because I was a hardworking person and I used to work with all my heart and with all my soul. So she would automatically agree for me to go back to employment. But on the other side, I thought about people, and I started thinking about what will people say about me going back to employment. People would laugh at me. Those are some of the things, you know, you start asking yourself, do you go back? It's becoming so hard. You go back to employment. The other thing is that I did not even have machineries for cleaning, and therefore it was really tough for me, and I had to go I had to think out of the box, and I came to realize that if you go to Gill House, they have a place where they hire machinery. Is it a scrubbing machine you want? Is it a hooving machine you want? You can actually go there and hire it. The only challenge is that you must put a deposit for you to be able to pick that machinery. And because I was able, I think God had blessed me, I had some little money that I'll be able to hire the equipment and then do the work. So that was a big challenge. So but I thank God today that I was able to work hard, and any penny I got, I started plowing back. I could plow back. I started plowing back little by little, and today I thank God because I have a pool of machineries to do scrubbing, to do hooving. I have all kinds of machinery, so I thank God. Another challenge I had was a car. I did not have a car to move from point A to point B. I have been told to go and clean a place, maybe in Syokimau, or I'm going to Kitengela. I do not have a car to transport, so I had to get taxi drivers. My phone had different types of different names of different taxi drivers. If it is town, I had all the taxi drivers' names on my phone. If it is Upper Hill, I had all the names of the taxi drivers in Upper Hill. By then we didn't have Uber. If it is Nairobi West, I had a pool of numbers of taxi drivers in that area. So if I'm in town, my office used to be in town later when I got an office. So I would get a taxi driver from town, and then he would drop me to Upper Hill where I'm going to clean. So I would clean in Upper Hill. Then when I'm done, because I can't tell him to wait for me, because the charges will continue multiplied, so he would leave. So when I'm in Upper Hill, I would clean, and once I'm done, then I'll call my list of pool of taxi drivers within Upper Hill. Remember, when you call them, you're not guaranteed that they are in that location. So you'd call one, you find I'm not around, I've gone on the other side. You call another one, he'll say he's not around. Then you call another one, a third, and another one, and another one. So it was really challenging, but I thank God today I have been able to get a car that can help me to move from point A to point B. The other challenge was also even getting the business itself. You'd tender, do 1,001 tenders and still not get even one. So that was even a challenge, because applying for a tender, it's a lot of money. You need papers. You need also to have a photocopy. You need to have a place where you can create the tender document itself. So it was a challenge. Also, another challenge we had is that initially doing tenders, you are required to put some money aside. This money, just in case you are not able to deliver. Some companies do not trust, and for their peace of mind, I think they want you to put some money aside, which you can actually access after the contract. And also even buying tenders. Initially, it was very difficult. A tender would cost 3,000. A tender would cost 5,000. You need to have that money, and there was also commissions from the banks every time you are doing a tender. So the tender process has become now, the government has done very well. It has become easy. Today you can download a tender, it's 1,000 bob, or you can download, you don't need to buy. If you get it a hard copies when they charge you 1,000 bob, but when you download it, you don't need to pay. So I think even the ease of doing tenders has become better, but they could be also better because sometimes the tender documents are huge. That's also another challenge. The tender document is huge and you need to read line by line, word by word. Or sometimes I would even think now I'm becoming a lawyer, because you need to read line by line, word by word, and get to understand what the tender document needs. So I think even today, that is one of the biggest problems. They need to condense, they need to make it easy so that even the people at the bottom of the pyramid, or people or other, like we say today, we are saying the hustlers can start, it can be easy for them to be able to participate in the tender document without making it so complex. So I think those are some of the challenges I have been through. It's been tough, but I keep believing that even when it's tough, it can still be easy. You just need to put a lot of effort. And I remember, I also remember sometimes during the tender, I would not have some documents like maybe NSSF. I do not have NSSF. I do not have NHIF. I also do not have maybe some particular compliances, because the tender documents need you to have all those compliances. And what I did for me is that I'll still continue to do the tender even when I don't have, and then note down what I do not have, so that tomorrow I can go and look for that particular document. For example, I remember at one point I did not know that you are supposed to have the NSSF, and then there is a way you have to arrange your tender document. There is the finance bit, there is the technical bit. Sometimes if you don't do it very well, or also maybe miss things like a business permit, you need to attach your business permit. If you don't have it, then next time you work on having it. That's how today I can say that I am able to do a tender document, because I have learned through try and error. Doing tender, not having the one of the documents. When you don't have one of the documents, you become disqualified. So it's a process. Keep doing it. I want to encourage people out there, don't give up. Even if you don't have whatever document, just participate, because what happens, those companies will still put you if you don't qualify to be given the tender, they'll still put you on their list of suppliers. So next time they will notify you whenever there is a tender that is being, and by then you will have already known the documents that you do not have right now, so that now when you are participating in the next one, you do have them. Yeah, it is amazing, because it's a learning, it's a process, it's not an event. You keep on doing them and then you get it right.